The grand catwalk of Xyphos Prime shimmered like a ribbon of liquid light against the swirling violet storms of the gas giant below. 100 species floated in zero-gravity observation pods, their appendages clutching delicate refreshments as they judged the parade of galactic fashion. Bioluminescent cerulean robes pulsed with hypnotic patterns. Quellian gel suits morphed color, with each graceful undulation. Even the normally austere Velna diplomats wore crystalline exo, suits that refracted starlight into dazzling fractals. Then the human walked in. Lena Carter's boots clicked against the transparent runway with military precision, her simple black jumpsuit absorbing rather than reflecting the spotlight. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Where were the self-adjusting hemlines, the emotion, reactive embroidery? The nearest Cerulean, a serpentine judge named Vrixis, actually dropped his jeweled tasting fork. Delegates of the Galactic Federation, boomed the announcer's voice. Please welcome Earth's cultural ambassador Lena Carter, presenting terrestrial formalwear. The last word curled with audible disbelief. Lena reached the center platform and struck a parade rest dance. The silence grew heavier than Xyphos Prime's gravity. Well, Vrixis recovered first, slithering forward on his repulsor cushion. His emerald scales were inlaid with actual rubies, a display so vulgar Lena's old drill sergeant would have made him scrub latrines for a month. This, he hissed, flicking a forked tongue at her sleeve, is your species' pinnacle of aesthetic achievement, woven plant fibers. A titter ran through the observation pods. A gelatinous Quellian critic named Xyphos wobbled with laughter, his semi-transparent body bubbling with amusement. Primitive beyond measure. Even pre-spaceflight ceruleans wore self-cleaning epidermal sheaths. Lena didn't flinch. She'd worn this same jumpsuit through 3 combat drops and a reactor breach. The faint scar along its left seam, where a Grathnak vibroblade had failed to penetrate, itched reassuringly. Article Fae of the Interstellar Cultural Exchange Act, she recited, voice flat, requires all member species to present attire reflecting their civilization's values. And what? Sneered Vrixis, coiling his tail around a floating champagne flute. Do these stained rags say about humanity? Lena's fingers brushed the nearly invisible seam along her collar. Durability, function, survival. The Cerulean judge erupted in scales. On chalkboard laughter, survival. Your fashion couldn't survive a mild solar flare. He gestured dramatically to the hovering holocams. Behold, galaxy. The species that thinks machine, woven cellulose deserves a place beside quantum, tailored silks. Xyphos oozed forward, extruding a pseudopod to poke at Lena's shoulder. The moment his membrane touched the matte fabric, a tiny spark snapped between them. The Quellian recoiled with a wet shriek. Static cling. Lena deadpanned. Common problem with primitive materials. Vrixis wasn't amused. He activated his podium's amplification field, sending his voice booming across the catwalk. By unanimous decision of the Galactic Fashion Authority, Earth's submission is deemed aesthetically inferior. Humanity's cultural rating shall be downgraded to, he consulted a floating display, category Gamma, equivalent to decorative moss species. The holocams zoomed in as Lena's jaw tightened. She'd warned Earth Command this would happen. They'd insisted on diplomatic decorum. Before you finalize that, she said, unclipping her left cuff, I'd like to demonstrate one feature of human clothing. Vrixis waved a dismissive claw. Unless it can transmute into something less hideous, spare us. Lena rolled up her sleeve, revealing a network of faint scars crisscrossing her forearm. This fabric, she said, tapping a particularly nasty burn mark, shielded me from a plasma conduit rupture during the Battle of Ceres. The stain here, her finger moved to a dark smudge near the elbow. Hydraulic fluid from when I pulled 2 wounded crewmates from a crashed dropship. The observation pods had gone eerily quiet. Xyphos bubbled uncertainly. This is irrelevant. Fashion is about beauty, not utility. Lena's smile could have cut durasteel. Then it is lucky we're not being judged by the Grathnak raiders who shot up my last ship. They thought my outfit was. What was the word? She snapped her fingers. Ah, yes, intimidating. Vrixis's scales flushed an angry crimson. Enough. Your barbaric display only proves our point. The authority's decision stands. He struck the rejection gong with unnecessary force. The resonant chime sent ripples through the Quellian's body. As Lena turned to leave, a tiny holocam drone zipped in front of her face. Some enterprising reporter from the Galactic News Network. Probably she leaned in close, ensuring the mic caught every word. Remember this moment, she whispered, tapping the Terran Defense Forces insignia stitched into her collar. Because next time you see one of these, it'll be on a soldier standing over your broken fashion police. The Catwalk's force field shimmered as she stepped through, leaving behind a stunned silence heavier than neutron star matter. Somewhere in the observation pods, a single Xyphos fashion student began quietly recording measurements for a human-style sleeve. The Terran Embassy's main hall echoed with the sharp click of Lena Carter's boots as she stormed in. The walls lined with holographic displays of Earths. Landscapes flickered as if sensing her fury. Ambassador Gregory Hale stood near the central console, his balding head gleaming under the artificial lights, fingers drumming on a datapad. His suit, wrinkled, outdated, and distinctly human, looked even more pathetic compared to the shimmering alien fashions they'd just been humiliated by. You had one job, Lena, Hale snapped, tossing the pad onto the table. It skidded, displaying the Galactic Federation's latest decree. Terran aesthetic rating, inferior, cultural status, downgraded. Lena didn't flinch. I didn't realize my job was to grovel at the feet of a bunch of overgrown lizards with a fabric fetish. Hale's face turned a shade redder. This isn't a joke. The Xyphos control trade routes. The Quellians influence media, and now, thanks to you, the entire galaxy thinks we're savages who don't understand basic fashion. A snort came from the corner. Xyphos, the gelatinous Quellian fashion critic, oozed forward, his translucent body rippling with disdain. Oh, Ambassador, don't be so dramatic. Savages implies potential. Humans are, what's the word? He pulsed mockingly. Unrefined. Like your, what was it, cotton? Lena's fingers twitched toward the hidden seam of her jumpsuit. You wouldn't last 5 minutes in this unrefined fabric where it's actually needed. Xyphos bubbled with laughter. And where would that be? Some primitive Earth battlefield. How quaint. The Embassy's comm system chimed. A hologram of Vrixis, the Xyphos judge, materialized in the center of the room, her gem-encrusted scales catching the light. Ambassador Hale, she hissed. The Galactic Fashion Authority has reached a decision. Humanity's cultural standing will remain downgraded unless... Her forked tongue flicked. You prove your clothing's worth in a survival trial. Hale paled. What kind of trial? Vrixis' grin was all teeth. Styx Fey. The atmospheric storms there shred weak materials. If your human garments can withstand it, well, reconsider. Lena didn't wait for Hale's protest. Done. The room went silent. Even Xyphos stopped oozing. Hale whirled on her. Are you insane? 6-6 storms peel starship hulls. Lena unzipped her jumpsuit just enough to reveal the reinforced inner lining. This isn't just fabric, Greg. It's rated for plasma burns, vacuum exposure, and acid immersion. Standard issue for Terran Special Forces. Xyphos recoiled. Special Forces, you're a soldier. Diplomat first, Lena said, zipping back up. But let's just say I didn't pack evening wear for this trip. Hale gaped. You been wearing combat gear to Federation events? Lena shrugged. Seemed appropriate, given the company. Vrixis' hologram flickered, her confidence wavering for the first time. This changes nothing. The trial proceeds. And when your primitive rags fail, they won't, Lena cut in. But when yours do, I want a public apology. Broadcast galaxy wide, the Zerulean's tail lashed. Arrogant mammal. The transmission cut out. Xyphos quivered, his form losing cohesion. You've doomed us all. If the authority loses face, then maybe they'll stop judging species by their thread count. Lena shot back. Hale sank into a chair, rubbing his temples. You realize this'll be televised. The entire Federation will be watching. Lena checked the seals on her gloves. Good. Let them see what human fashion really means. Outside the embassy's viewports, the neon lights of Xyphos Prime's elite districts glittered, oblivious to the storm coming, both on Styx Fae and in the halls of Galactic High Society. Xyphos oozed toward the exit, muttering, "Barbarians, absolute barbarians." Lena's grin was all teeth. Wait till you see us in action. The grand catwalk of Xyphos Prime still echoed with laughter as Lena Carter stepped into the Terran embassy's debriefing room. Ambassador Hale's face was flushed, his wrinkled suit jacket hanging off one shoulder as he paced. You humiliated us, Hale snapped. Do you have any idea what the Federation's cultural downgrade means? Trade sanctions, exclusion from... I didn't humiliate us, Lena said, her voice calm. She unzipped her jumpsuit halfway, revealing a thin black undershirt. They did, by being idiots. Hale threw his hands up. You called the Zerulean High Judge's robes overcompensating scales. They were. A chime interrupted them. The embassy's holographic display flickered to life, projecting the shimmering form of Xyphos, the Zerulean fashion judge, his serpentine body coiled in apparent amusement, gem-encrusted scales catching the light. Ambassador Hale, Xyphos hissed. The Galactic Fashion Authority has reached a decision regarding humanity's aesthetic shortcomings. Lena crossed her arms. Let me guess, more laughing. Xyphos ignored her. The Council has agreed to grant your species a chance to redeem yourselves. A survival trial on Styx faith, Hale paled. That's a Deathworld, precisely. Xyphos' tongue flicked out. Your fabric will be tested against the galaxy's finest materials. If it survives the storm belts, your cultural status will be reinstated. Lena's lips twitched. And if it doesn't, then humanity will be formally classified as visually offensive in all Federation records. Hale sputtered. You can't. We accept, Lena said. Xyphos' eyes gleamed. Excellent. The trial begins in 12 cycles. Bring your best cloth. The transmission cut out. Hale whirled on her. Are you insane? Styx storms shred battlecruisers. Lena pulled a small device from her jumpsuit pocket, a military-grade field tester. She tossed it to him. Run a scan on my sleeve. Hale fumbled with the device. A moment later, the readout flashed. His breath caught. This isn't fabric, it's titanium. Weave ballistic plating, heat-resistant to Fae degrees. Lena zipped her jumpsuit back up, standard issue for Terran Special Forces. You're not just a diplomat. No, I'm the one they sent when Command heard the Federation was judging us by our clothes. She smirked. Turns out we've been wearing armor this whole time. The staging area on Styx Faith's orbital platform was crowded with alien representatives, Zeruleans in flowing nanofiber robes, Quellians in gelatinous self-repairing gel suits, and a dozen other species in their so-called indestructible finery. Cameras hovered, broadcasting to every corner of the Federation. Xyphos, the Quellian critic, oozed forward. Ah, the humans here to fail spectacularly. Lena adjusted her gloves, here to educate. Xyphos slithered onto the platform, his voice amplified. Contestants, Prepare yourselves. The storm belts are active. Survival is the only metric. A holographic countdown appeared. 10 seconds. Lena took a breath. The Xyrulians activated their robes' adaptive shielding. The Quellians pulsed with protective gel. The platform's shields deactivated. Styx face atmosphere hit them like a wall. Razor, wind screamed, carrying acid rain that hissed against the metal. The Xyrulian nearest Lena gasped as his nanofiber robe frayed, threads snapping like broken wires. Xyphos shrieked as his gel armor boiled, bubbling away under the corrosive downpour. Impossible. This was over-engineered. Lena shouted over the storm. Her jumpsuit didn't even ripple. Alien panic erupted. Robes disintegrated. Suits melted. Lena stood untouched. Vrix's voice crackled over the comms, desperate. How? Lena tapped her collar. A tiny Terran flag patch gleamed. Human ingenuity. The storm raged on. But humanity? It didn't budge. The storm winds of Styx Fey howled like a dying beast, whipping across the jagged obsidian plains. Lena Carter stood at the edge of the landing platform, her black jumpsuit fluttering but holding firm against the gale. Behind her, the Xyrulian judge Vrixis adjusted his glittering nanofiber robes with 3 of his 6 hands. His serpentine body coiled in smug satisfaction. Remember the terms, Vrixis hissed, his voice barely audible over the storm. 1 hour in the storm zone. If your fabric survives intact, the Fashion Authority will reconsider humanity's status. Lena didn't look back. And when it does, you'll apologize, publicly. The Quellian critic Xyphos oozed forward, his gelatinous form encased in what he had proudly called self-repairing gel armor. Such confidence for a species that dresses in rags. He gurgled. Lena smirked. Let's see whose rags hold up. The signal chimed. The trial began. The first wave of razor. Winds hit like a swarm of knives. Vrixis nanofiber robes, engineered to shift colors with his mood, immediately began to fray. The delicate threads, woven for beauty rather than endurance, unraveled strand by strand. The Xyrulian let out a shriek as a gust tore through his left sleeve, the fabric dissolving into glittering dust. Xyphos fared no better. His gel armor bubbled violently as the acidic rain seared into his outer membrane. The self-repair function activated, but the storm was relentless. Patches of his protective layer sloughed off like melting wax. This is impossible, he wailed, his form quivering as he tried to retreat. Lena didn't move. The wind screamed around her, but her jumpsuit remained untouched. The acid rain beaded and rolled off the material like water on oil. A jagged shard of obsidian, hurled by the storm, ricocheted off her shoulder, leaving no mark. The broadcast drone zoomed in, transmitting the scene live to the galaxy. Vrixis staggered, his robes now in tatters. What kind of trick is this? He spat. Lena turned, her voice calm over the storm. No trick, just good engineering. Xyphos' form quivered as another acidic downpour ate through his armor. This isn't fashion, this is military gear. Lena tapped the insignia on her sleeve, a small subtle emblem of Earth's special forces. Fashion that works, she said. Imagine that. The Xyrulian judge lunged forward, his remaining robes flapping like shredded flags. You cheated. No clothing can withstand Styx Fey's storms. Lena didn't flinch as another gust blasted them. This one strong enough to send Vrixis skidding backward. His robes finally gave way, stripping him down to his scaled underlayer. Xyphos collapsed into a quivering puddle, his armor reduced to a thin, useless film. The storm raged on. Lena's jumpsuit didn't even look dirty. The broadcast drones hovered closer, capturing every second. The galaxy was watching. Vrixis, now half naked and seething, pointed a trembling claw. This trial was supposed to test fashion, not survival gear. Lena crossed her arms. You said human clothing was primitive, inferior. You mocked us for not meeting your standards. She gestured to the storm. Turns out, our standards are just higher. Xyphos let out a pathetic gurgle as another wave of acid rain ate through his last defenses. We demand a retrial. This isn't fair. Lena laughed. Fair, you sent us to a Deathworld to prove a point. You just didn't like the point we made. The timer chimed. 1 hour complete. Xyphos lay sprawled on the ground, his once glorious robes reduced to tattered scraps. Xyphos was a shivering, half-dissolved mess, and Lena, she brushed a speck of dust off her sleeve. So, she said, tilting her head, about that apology. The drone zoomed in, the galaxy held its breath. Xyphos' voice was a broken hiss. This isn't over. Lena smiled. Oh, it is. The storm howled its agreement. The broadcast feed flickered across 1 billion screens. Every species in the Federation watched as Lena Carter stood untouched in the storm. Acid rain beaded off her shoulders. Razor winds screamed around her but left no mark. Behind her, the Xyrulians' nanofiber robes hung in tattered strips. The Quellians' gel armor had dissolved into a puddle of useless sludge. Lena tapped her wrist unit. The storm shut off like someone had flipped a switch. The sudden silence was louder than the wind had been. Judges, she called up to the observation platform. Your verdict. Xyphos' scales had gone dull grey with shock. His serpentine body coiled tight around his chair. This is an outrage. That's not clothing. That's armor. Lena unzipped her jumpsuit halfway, showing the black undershirt beneath. Last I checked, armor isn't against the rules. You said prove our clothing's worth. I proved it. Xyphos quivered in his containment tank. His gelatinous form rippled with distress. The challenge was about fashion, not survival. Then why send us to a Deathworld? Lena shot back. She turned to the hovering camera drones. Let's be clear. The Federation called us primitive, said our clothes were inferior. But when your advanced fashion failed, mine didn't. So who's really primitive here? A murmur ran through the observation deck. Alien dignitaries exchanged glances. Some of their translator implants couldn't keep up with the rapid-fire human speech. Lena reached for the zipper again. You want fashion? Fine, let's talk fashion. With one smooth motion, she stripped off the jumpsuit. Underneath wasn't the expected military gear, but a sleek, form-fitting dress. The same matte black as the jumpsuit, but woven with subtle silver threads that caught the light. The Xyrulian judge reared back. What trick is this? No trick. Lena ran a hand down the dress's side. Same material. Same protection, just prettier. She smirked. We call it evening wear. A hush fell over the crowd. Even the camera drones seemed to hover closer. One of the younger Quellian aides leaned forward. You mean your military gear is also high fashion? Lena laughed. Honey on earth, survival is always in style. The broadcast feed exploded, social channels lit up with reactions. The human networks went wild. Clips of Lena's reveal played on loop. Military recruiters suddenly found their inboxes flooded with fashion designer resumes. Back on the observation deck, the judges were in chaos. Xyphos hissed at his aides. Find the rule she broke. There has to be something. A tiny Cerulean diplomat floated forward. Their orb, like eyes, pulsed with amusement. Actually, honored judges. The rules state only that the clothing must be worn on the body and representative of the species culture. They projected the regulation text into the air. Humanity has complied perfectly. Lena smoothed her dress. So about that apology? The camera drone zoomed in as the Fashion Authority spluttered. Behind them, the Terran ambassador, poor Gregory Hale, looked like he might faint. His wrinkled suit seemed even more disheveled than usual. Then, from somewhere in the crowd, a voice called out, "Where can I get one?" Lena grinned. Earth Department of Defense, ask for the tactical couture line. The Xyrulean judge finally snapped. "This is an outrage. You've made a mockery of what?" Lena interrupted. "Your precious rules, your idea that fashion has to be fragile to be beautiful." She shook her head. "Maybe it's time the Federation learned something from us. Real beauty doesn't just look good, it lasts." The broadcast cut to 1,000,000 reaction shots. A Xyrulean teenager already trying to replicate the dress's weave. A group of Quellians debating if their gel could be modified for style. Even some of the judge's own staff were whispering behind their backs. Lena turned her back on the sputtering Fashion Authority. She walked toward the exit, her dress flowing like liquid shadow. The cameras followed every step. Behind her, the Xyrulean diplomat murmured something that would trend across the galaxy by morning. Humans don't follow fashion, they redefine it. The broadcast from Xyphos spread across the galaxy faster than a hyperlane jump. Every screen in the Federation flickered with the same impossible image. Lena Carter standing untouched in the storm, her simple black jumpsuit defying the planets, wrath while alien masterpieces dissolved into rags. The Galactic Fashion Authority's chambers erupted in chaos. Xyphos' jeweled scales rattled as he slammed his tail against the podium. "This is a trick. A deception." His voice cracked as he pointed a trembling claw at the hollow feed. "No textile can withstand Xyphos storms without cheating." Xyphos quivered in his gelatinous containment orb, his normally vibrant colors dulled to a sickly gray. "The humans, they lied to us. That wasn't clothing, it was armor." Lena's face filled the screen again, her smirk sharp enough to cut diamond. "You wanted fashion?" She unzipped her jumpsuit, revealing a sleek silver, threaded dress beneath. "This is human fashion, beautiful and bulletproof." The Quellian judge let out a wet, gurgling scream. On Xyphos Prime, crowds gathered outside the Fashion Authority's spire. Humans stationed across the galaxy cheered, banging on tables, clinking glasses, howling with laughter. Ambassador Hale nearly choked on his coffee as he watched the feed in his office. She did it. That insane woman actually did it. Back on Xyphos, Lena tapped her earpiece. "Phase 2, gentlemen." A fleet of Terran dropships descended through the acid clouds, their matte black hulls untouched by the corrosive rain. The ramp of the lead ship lowered, and a squad of human soldiers marched out, each wearing variations of Lena's tactical fashion. A sergeant in a ballistic, weave trench coat saluted. "Ma'am, the Galaxis watching orders." Lena tossed her hair over one shoulder. "Let's give them a show." The soldiers formed up behind her as she strode toward the waiting cameras. The storm raged around them, but their gear held. No flickering force fields, no melting nanofibers. Just human engineering standing firm. In the Federation Council chambers, the Octavian representative, Elder Milksan, let out a bubbling laugh. "Well, this is embarrassing for someone," the Xyrulean ambassador hissed. "The humans violated the rules. This was a fashion trial, not a military exhibition." Milksan's tentacles rippled in amusement. "Was it? Because I recall your judges demanding a survival test. Seems the humans were the only ones who took it seriously. Said our clothes were worthless." She gestured to the soldiers beside her. "But this is what human fashion means. It's not just about looking good, it's about living." The crowd outside the Fashion Authority's spire grew louder. A group of young Xyruleans, their scales painted in imitation of human camouflage patterns, chanted, "Let them in, let them in." Inside the spire, the judges huddled like prey. Xyphos' once proud posture had crumpled. We can't let this stand. If humans redefine fashion, what's next?" Their music, their art. Xyphos whimpered. They'll erase us. A new voice cut through the chamber. No. All eyes turned to the doorway, where Elder Milkson floated, flanked by Federation guards. They'll improve you. The Octavian waved a tentacle, and the guards moved forward. By order of the Federation Council, the Fashion Authority is hereby suspended pending investigation. Xyphos lunged, his jewels clattering. You can't do this. We are the arbiters of taste. Milkson didn't blink. And now you'll taste humility. The guards seized the judges. Outside, the crowd roared as the spires. Doors slid open, and Lena Carter walked in, her dress gleaming under the lights. Xyphos collapsed into a puddle of shame. What do you want from us? Lena crouched beside him, an apology to every human you mocked, to every species you bullied with your standards. She stood, addressing the room. Fashion isn't about rules, it's about expression and humanity. She grinned. We've got a lot to express. The feeds cut to Terran embassies across the galaxy, where human diplomats, now dressed in tactical formal wear, raised glasses in unison on Xyphos Prime. The first human-designed boutique opened its doors. The line stretched for miles. The grand catwalk of Xyphos Prime shimmered under new lighting, no longer the soft pastels of alien haute couture, but the stark, functional glow of human-designed illuminators. The floating platform hummed with energy, packed to capacity with beings from every corner of the Federation. This time, they weren't here to judge. They were here to learn. Lena Carter leaned against the observation railing, her new dress, a sleek fusion of ballistic weave and iridescent nanofiber, catching the light with every movement. A year ago, she had been laughed off this very stage. Now Xyrulean models strutted past in armored evening gowns, their gem-encrusted scales peeking through slash-resistant mesh. Quellian designers oozed excitement over human, inspired structural integrity. The galaxy had changed. You've started a revolution, Ambassador Hale said, joining her at the rail. His suit was still wrinkled, but now it was woven from the same material as Lena's tactical dress. The Federation's cultural index just upgraded us to aesthetically innovative. Lena smirked. Took them long enough. Below, Xyphos slithered onto the runway, his once proud scales now partially covered by a human-designed harness. The Xyrulean's voice crackled over the speakers, presenting the Sentinel collection. The crowd erupted as models marched out in gear that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Floating dresses with emergency oxygen reserves, suits with built-in medkits, even a Quellian draped in gel, armor that hardened on impact, the Pi Fate staff assistants. A towering Crixilian warrior in a ball gown lined with heat-resistant plating Xyphos, now a reluctant advocate for functional fashion, oozed toward Lena. I must admit, your species has an eye for survival aesthetics. Lena arched a brow. Funny how that works. On stage, Xyphos hesitated before adding, and now a special tribute to the human who redefined our standards. The lights dimmed, then focused on Lena. The crowd's murmurs grew into applause. Hale nudged her. They're waiting. Lena sighed, then straightened. She stepped onto the runway, no longer an outsider, but the icon of a movement. The Xyrulean judge bowed his head, mandibles clicking in the closest thing his species had to respect. The galaxy owes you an apology, he said, loud enough for the broadcast drones to catch. Lena didn't smile. She didn't need to. Apology accepted. She turned to the crowd, raising her voice. But let's be clear. This was never about fashion. It was about perspective. She gestured to the models. You wanted beauty, fine. But beauty that endures, that's human. The applause was deafening backstage. A young Terran designer adjusted a Crixilian's armored sash, think they'll ever stop being surprised. Lena watched as a Zerulean child tugged at her mother's reinforced shawl, giggling at the hidden pockets. Nope, and that's the best part. The show ended with a holographic display, Earth's flag projected alongside the Federation's, woven together by threads of the same unbreakable fabric. Somewhere in the crowd, a Quellian whispered, "Imagine what else they've been hiding." Lena heard. She grinned. The galaxy was finally paying attention.